Great, awesome. So for everyone who's joined, super exciting Instagram Live interview today with the one and only Kip Andersen. Dude, could you introduce yourself? I'm sure most of the audience are going to know who you are, but could you introduce yourself and let them know a little bit about who you are, what you've done, why we're here?
Right on, yeah. Kip Andersen, co-producer and director and everything with Cameron Waters of the new film Christspiracy, The Spirituality Secret, which is a play off the first film, Cowspiracy, The Sustainability Secret, and co-produced and did that with Keegan Kuhn and What the Health, and then with Ali Tabrizi, as a lot of people know, and he did Seaspiracy. So this is the boldest yet.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough myself to have seen the film, and I just want to say to everyone who's excited for it, this film is not going to let you down. I believe it's going to be huge, just like the other ones. And what's super interesting for me about this interview as well is like a lot of the audience know I've spoke about it on pretty much every live that I've done. Like Seaspiracy was like the catalyst to me going vegan. So yeah, it's huge stuff, man. Pretty excited. Um, I would love to know, I'm sure everybody would love to know, like, what inspired you to make Christspiracy? Like, why did this happen? Like, how did this happen?
Well, it happened in a way a long time ago. Initially, probably like 15, 16 years ago, when I started working on Cowspiracy. At that time, Cowspiracy was supposed to be, interestingly enough, all three pillars in one film. It was supposed to be film on that addressed the ethics, the environment, and the health impacts of raising and killing 70, 80 billion land animals and countless, trillion sea animals. And at that time, when we were doing pre-screenings, we realized this film is three films because we were trying to scrunch everything in one. And so there's the three pillars. And for me, my personal, that touches me the most and why I'm vegan and want to explore this topic is more for the ethical conversation and going deep into that. So in a way, it's been a long time coming, and so really grateful for we finally been able to finally do this. And then it took definitely a crazy wild ride with Cam and I, co-director, of making the film. As you've seen it, it's a wild ride. It's a film on ethics like none seen before, and even though it's called Christspiracy, it's so much more. It is a Christian film. It's definitely not a Christian film. It's so much more. But yet there is a thread line that could really transform the way we look at particularly Christianity and all religions forever. So it's a huge story that we're revealed here, and I'm really stoked to get it out.
Yeah, it really does go all the way into the ethics side of the argument, which is just an absolutely beautiful thing. And I love that you guys were finally able to do that. How was it that Cam got involved then? Because I feel like that's quite an interesting point.
Yeah, it was, I guess, in 2016 or 17. I think it was might have been 16 actually. I was doing a Cowspiracy screening at a LA Green Fest, and I just wrapped up Keegan and I What the Health, and knew that there was an ethical film to be made to finalize that whole series. But Keegan did not want to do it. He was doing a few other things. So like, oh, just somehow this will, I'll meet someone. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I met Cam at the after the Q&A at the screening at the LA Veg Fest. Oh no, it wasn't even Veg Fest. LA Green Fest. And as you see, we hit it off right away. I had these really deep conversations, and from then on, it's been a wild ride, traveling all around the world, going deep into this subject of how is it possible to ethically raise and eat animals from all different angles, and then with a big thread line. Jesus.
Yeah, and it's quite a beautiful thing actually. So do you consider yourself like to be atheist or?
No, I'm not atheist. I've gone through a whole, in the film I say I'm a quasi spiritual Buddhist yogi.
Nice.
I've trained in like different, I didn't grow up my background's Mormon, but my dad was a rebel. So when he was supposed to go on a mission at 18, he instead decided to become a bartender. So like pick the opposite. So I didn't go to church at all. So for me, it's been a fun ride exploring this topic, because it's all brand new to me, and seeing Jesus as a historical figure, where I just thought, a way, not being an atheist at all, but maybe he's made up or just some, fictional character. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. There's not only this person named Jesus, Yeshua, but there's this whole group that's called the Nazarenes, and they're really historically documented. And what they do is fascinating and so incredibly inspiring, especially as anyone being an activist in any sort. Taking it to the levels that he and they did, it's just incredibly fascinating and inspiring. So even after the film, I wouldn't say whatsoever I'm religious, but I'm very interested in the origins of all religions and how they are all connected. So like, I'm not Buddhist, but I love Buddhism and elements now of Christianity, Hinduism, Islam. And so it's been fun to really research the origins and removing all the layers that get covered on them, the true essence of what they are and how they're connected, and how they're connected to philosophy and ethics and spirituality. And then even people like Pythagoras, there's a lineage to Pythagoras. Like, what? How does that happen? And so the film explores this. So it's a really fascinating journey that I personally been on, and I think the viewer will too.
100%. I can 100% vouch for that. So like, at some point in my vegan journey, I had like a sort of bit of a like side hobby thing going on with like learning more about philosophy. And this film 100% makes you like super interested in finding out how veganism ties in with spirituality, and like how often it does or should do, really. So I guess like we've sort of covered like in some ways how it's going to be different from the other Spiracy films. Does this film like touch on things that they covered, or is this completely unique in its own right?
Well, when you watch, you can definitely see it's got the footprint, the DNA of the other films. Yeah, those like Spiracy. Now it's kind of also like a name of Spiracy type interviews, where we challenge, ask, for example, we go to the Vatican and we ask the Dean of Philosophy and the Dean of Ethics. One of them made the last edit in the film. Would Jesus? Did Jesus eat meat? Oh, yes, he would. He would. Okay, if he did, how would he kill an animal? And the awkwardness, and a dean of ethics of the Vatican University, essentially trying to literally describe how Jesus would kill an animal. Is pretty classic. So in that realm, we have a lot of the similar, the hero's type of journey and following the journey around the world and what we're uncovering. So it's got those elements of the other films for sure, but then it has a whole nother level to it that each film is its own unique in its own right, but this one definitely has a lot of colorful ways. And it's the thing about this film, it's been fun. The other ones were so based in graph charts and facts and sourcing from the medical journals and environmental journals, and then those can be debated for endless times because you can manipulate that data. That's why we always love to go on debates against anyone who refutes it, because they're very sound. This one's more of a philosophical journey and question when you watch the film of if someone debates what we found in the film, well then let's have a discussion about this and let's really look at this from a different angle rather than numbers, statistics and stuff. And that's what I like about this one.
Yeah, there's a really there's an awesome element to this movie that's quite touching with Cam's relationship with the film as well, because you see he's this guy who's like super confused about his like faith and the trouble he's had with answering this question, and like watching his journey as the movie goes along is really awesome. But yeah, you guys put yourself in some situations because like as you say, like no spiritual belief system I suppose is like safe from the question, but you guys really go into it around the world and the situations that you put yourselves in and the people you speak to. Did this lead to you guys feeling unsafe or anything like that at any point creating the film or after the film?
Yeah, well, as you've seen, and we've done some interviews where we not giving too much away, but we were followed for months during the making of the beginning parts of this film. And then it leads to something that you'll see in the film, which is crazy, that you never think would happen to you. And then you see on TV, you know, in movies, other movies it does. But so there is a definite element of you know, of realizing this, you know, some scary moments and stuff, and it's a little bit dangerous. But the main thing that, you know, I did when I did Cowspiracy, I had to go through that real personal, like, hey, is this really worth it? When you watch that film, you know, I went through a dark period of realizing, wow, what are we getting ourselves into? And it was a really authentic, like, wow, I didn't, you know, realize this can be pretty dangerous, I guess you'd say, or what are we getting ourselves into? But ever since then, you know, that was 10 years ago, or even more than that when we started working on it. Then it became, okay, yes, we're doing this. Yes, all these films have to be completed. This whole chapter of series, this is basically the last one. Our main concern with Cam too is we're doing this no matter what. We're protected, we feel, by the higher spirits and the animals, but we have to make sure we protect our footage, because if the footage gets stolen, that is the sacred, that's the sacred media that we have to make sure that the film is intact and we tell the story. And then once the film is out, we feel the film protects us. And at that point, it's just a lot of questions and debate and discussions. And it's not about us, it's about the film, and it's about all of you who are watching the film, getting the film out and raising these discussions. So like the previous ones, we feel we're protected, and the film is its own thing. It's its own being, I guess you'd say, that takes a life of its own.
Yeah, I've just stuck in the chat, like Christspiracy.com, like that's where people, if they want to see the movie, that's where they can buy tickets for, right?
Yeah,
like, when can
Christspiracy.com. Yeah, hold on one second. Was almost going to come out. Christspiracy.com. Christspiracy.com is where you get your tickets. It's going to be shown everywhere March 20th. March 20th. Make sure you get your tickets and get them early, because one, that's going to exponentially start selling out, and you're going to get a really bad seat, or you're not going to be able to watch in the theater. Bring a friend, bring your Christian friend, your Buddhist friend, your yogi friend, your carnivore friend. That's a big thing too. We want to make sure you bring people with you to see it in the theaters. The other thing too is this will be shown online in a pay it forward manner and all the extra footage, but you have to watch this in the movie theater. It's just one of those, you watch the film, but when you see this again in the movie theater, it's gonna feel like you haven't even seen it yet, because of the experience you're gonna have.
Yeah.
So definitely Christspiracy.com, get tickets for other people too.
Yeah, 100%. And I just wanted to say to everybody that's watching, real quick as well, if you've got any questions for myself and Kip, like, drop them in that little comment icon with a question mark. We might have time to answer a couple. But yeah, just off the back of that, because I suppose you are used to tackling these like really controversial, intense issues, and there's always retaliation of sorts. Like, do you expect there to be, and this is going to be completely different because it's totally different establishments or organizations that we're talking about and tackling here, what do you expect to see after this like release from what do you expect the retaliation?
We want everyone to talk about it and debate about it, and go, you know, talk to, particularly the thread line of Jesus, go to their churches and talk about it. Make this a discussion in every single, you know, Sunday service and at dinner table. And then as far as us, you know, we're going to encourage things. After What the Health came out, I started immediately working on this film, but that it was so controversial that I wanted to go on a lot of debates, not me per se, but the team that made that, the doctors in there, and to go on debates of anyone who tried to refute what was in the film. We did some of the bigger doctors that tried to refute the film. Then they denied. Then they say they would go on a debate, unedited, like live on YouTube. And then once it came down to it, they all refuse. So that shows you, you know, they're you know that they're a bit scared when it came down to a live one. With this film, we're planning on doing live debates, unedited discussions, you know, on that thread line of Jesus. Cam can talk to anyone about this, and he is going to, you know, it's incredibly impressive. And to do a lot of these type of, not say debates, but just live panels, discussions. Is there a spiritual way, ethical way to eat animals? and then to just really get this out there. What's interesting about this film, theologians that have heard about this film and have seen it, they think it's very exciting. Like, it truly is historical, an historical moment where some of this, like the previous films, some people know what's revealed. Then you see them in the film. But once the film comes out, then it becomes a mainstream discussion, and then it becomes almost common sense. Like Cowspiracy, when that film came out, there was zero connection between animal agriculture and the environment. And in only 10 years, which seems like a lot of time, but that's not at all. Now look at where we are, you know, it's beyond a debate. So we feel like in, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the entire, say for one thread line, Christianity in a way could be transformed to have an entire different energy behind it, and what that means to be a Christian, and what, can you eat an animal if you're Christian? So we see a lot of fun panels, events, seminars, summits to do a lot around this whole interesting conversation. Not only this film, but the other ones too. It's gonna be, we want to have a lot of fun with it. That's a big thing too.
Yeah, because it's like everyone's going to be wondering, and as much as I would love to, like, we can't give the whole thing away, but everybody's going to be wondering, like, it is a Spiracy movie, so there's a Spiracy of sorts, and I guess everybody will be wondering, like, what is gonna be this, like what Cowspiracy, what the hell Seaspiracy and all that did, because they absolutely blew the roof off of, like, their subject matter. Like, I can assure everybody that's watching this that is exactly what this film is going to do with, like, spirituality. And that question, is there a ethical or spiritual way to kill an animal? But it seems like you sort of went into it a little bit, but I'll still like to ask the question, I suppose, ultimately, like, what would look like success to you, as far as Christspiracy and its release into the world?
Well, our goal is initially this theater release to a big one. Our first goal is to, and that's up to everyone here watching, sharing it, is to get as many people in the theaters, so that this will trigger a full theatrical run. The more theaters we sell out, and the earlier we sell them out, this will be a full theatrical run, which means this is the first film of its kind, say animal rights, about compassion, in history to have a full theater run. And that's up to you all watching it. So please make sure you are so part of this, the success of this film, is to get the tickets and invite friends, because once that triggers a full run, that's a historical moment. And then as far as our first goal is to sell or have 3 million viewings between the theatrical and online. And that's in honor of every single animal that's killed every single hour. That's 3 million land animals killed per hour. And so that's our first goal. And then the definition of success too, we'd say the goal in the big picture, I don't know how long it'll take, but to have billions of views, make it go viral, to save billions of lives, and to honor, to really have a voice for the animals and the origins of these religions that have been covered up, to really honor that, of like, really, what were they about? And then to get that really mainstream, so that the narrative of early Christianity and what Christianity is founded upon, that is compassion that extends to all beings, and that being just, in 10 years from now, everyone just knows that. Right now, no one really, or hardly anyone does. And so that would be an incredible sign of success when we see that, the origins of this religion and the other ones, the veil has been removed, and you see how beautiful they are and how they're connected, and it's very mainstream.
Yeah, so like from earlier on, like the question that asked just yourself about how you see your own spirituality, like I went into this film, watching this film, as like someone who considers themselves to be atheist, and a lot of people from with that mindset have like really negative viewpoints on religion. And this film really really changed that for me, which is amazing, and made me really interested in the subject matter in general. So yeah, we'll say again one more time, like Christspiracy.com is where to get the tickets. Obviously as Kip said, they're going to sell out super fast for March 20th. I'd love to know, there seems to be 4 people wanting to ask a question. Have you got time to answer the audience
Absolutely.
questions?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have time for that. And I love that you're an atheist. You know, I would consider myself an atheist at one point in my life, and that you loved it. You know, I'm not an atheist, but that's what's so fun about this is like, maybe you too, like seeing these historical, Jesus is like, oh, holier than thou, Jesus in the sky, saving her. Like, wow, how incredibly inspiring is that? And then putting yourself back in a time 2,000 years ago, what was happening then, and how bold, you know, some of these groups were. So I'm glad you found it that way, being an atheist. So that's a great testimonial. If you loved it then.
Yes, like you're going to have a completely different viewpoint on like who Jesus is, and oh mate, it's just incredible. So someone asks the Vegan Potter if we can't make the theatre showings, like when will it be available to like view online, like from your home, I suppose?
Yeah. The goal is to have it within, like, I guess after March 20th, you know, within like 2 months. That's the goal. We want to do a big online release as well. The goal with that one, not even the goal, we're going to do a pay it forward method. It will be seen across, you know, Amazon Prime, YouTube, yada, yada, all those as well that you could probably do for it. But we're going to have our own platform too, where we want to do a pay it forward method, so that if you have money or you don't have money, you can watch it. And if you do want to pay it forward to someone else, you can, so that everyone in the world, we're going to have it translated into 20 languages, dubbed, as many platforms we can have it on, and then have a bunch of extra footage. We have so much incredible extra footage that's phenomenal. But I will say one thing, if you can see in the theater, it's going to be a completely amazing experience. It's going to be very different, especially with the surround sound we did in it. But it will be shown online a few months after.
I'll try and take a non-vegan friend for sure. Cool. Oh, sorry guys, phone alarm. I'm a Christian and a vegan. What sort of effect do you think this movie will have on a person who does not believe in God or Christianity? Cool.
Well, I'd ask you that. You just almost answered that. What would you say?
I would say that if you have a negative opinion of Christianity and you watch this film, the super compelling information that you'll find out about this film will change your viewpoint on, I guess it sounds so controversial to say this, but like what a Christian should believe, and you'll be far more aligned with that, and your negative opinion won't be so negative. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's good too. And I think it's, people don't realize, you know, it's not like Jesus he wasn't a Christian back then. He was actually Jewish, and he was part. And so this thing happened over the last 2,000 years. People have this notion of what Christian, you know, am I a Christian or not? Without realizing, when you find out, as you said, the roots, when you take all the veil across and all the things that have been covered up, like, wow, this is incredible. So I love that.
And it's like, what really interested me actually was just like how hugely similar the fundamentals of like what the religions that grew to become like the large fundamental religions globally. There's a lot of like similarities, at least with originally the way that they would think. It just seems to have been lost over time. Is there a European release?
Yeah, there's it's being shown in theaters in all the UK. So it's in Germany. We have theaters in Germany, in the most major cities in Germany. And I think Switzerland, we're trying to get one. They might have to check if there is. And then Austria. As far as the other countries, we're working that on a separate release after this first theatrical one. But right now it's US, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland. So and the other ones are close behind. Is it where you're at? Are you is it being shown in Scotland?
Sorry, yeah, I'm in Scotland. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, you have to find out, because it was in Ireland, but you have to look in. Of course. Go to Christspiracy Christspiracy.com, and you can type in the city and see where it's closest to you. That's what you got. Everyone can do.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, that's great advice. So, yeah, go to Christspiracy.com, and that'll have the list of like all the cities where it's been shown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah, we don't seem to have any more questions from the audience, man, and so I would like to leave the floor to yourself if you've got anything like to say just now before we go off, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, just everyone go on Christspiracy.com and get tickets, and we'll see you at the theater. It's going to be an amazing experience. You're going to watch it, and you're going to definitely want to talk about it, and maybe if you don't go to church, you're going to want to go to church and start church so you can tell everyone about it and bring the church if you do. And then I think the other thing too is, you know, again, if you're not religious, there's so much more in this film. You know, in this conversation, we talk about the sociological impacts, the sociological, you know, why is it okay to eat some animals and some not other animals. We talk about social justice. We talk about all sorts of things. We go undercover into India. I mean, it's a full range, full spectrum film. So it's got something in there for every single person, whether you're atheist like you, or a yogi, or a Christian, or just someone who wants a wild ride, watching a wild, adventurous, entertaining, and very enlightening film. It's going to be for you. So, Christspiacy, get a ticket.
Hell yeah. And actually, this just inspired me to say this before we head off. I really want to say this. This movie, so a lot of people, a lot of vegans are atheists. I think most of the vegans I know are anyway. And so they're not too clued up on like vegans want to debate. They want to turn other people vegan, right? One of the things we're not too clued up on is like other people's spirituality and where that leaves them with veganism. If this movie is going to do one thing to you, if you don't want to become religious, it is going to better equip you for arguing the point of veganism with a spiritual religious person. It's 100% going to do that for you. So please watch it if you're not religious and don't plan to be or whatever. Like, please do still watch it. And thank you so much, Kip. I'm really happy to have spoken to you. You're the main reason that I'm vegan. Big love. Appreciate it a lot, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Right on. Thank you so much, and everyone else. Thank you so much. We're all in this together, doing it together. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you at the theaters.
Awesome, dude. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Right, speak soon, man. Peace. Bye bye.